When most people think of worms, they think of long, squiggly earthworms, but there are many other kinds of worms. Some are the length of your body or as thick as your arm. Others are look like glowing furry blobs. Worms can flutter and climb along with paddle-like bristles. Still others are very small and live in tubes cemented to rocks. Today we're going to be talking about two kinds of worms, flatworms and roundworms.
What is a flatworm?
A flatworm is the phylum Plathelminthesis, consists of the flatworms, which most flatworms are no more longer than a few millimeters thick. And flatworms are soft, flattened, and worms that have tissue and internal.
Location of flatworms.
Flatworms, or the lowest of the worms, are Plathelmintheses. These have thin, soft bodies. This phylum includes three classes: Turbellaria, free-living flatworms, most of which inhabit water and saltwater or moist places on land. And then there's also Trematoda, which are external or internal parasites. And then there's Cestoda, the adults of which are intestinal parasites of vertebrates. Some of these parasites cause serious illnesses or death to their host.
Classification of roundworms.
The characteristics of Nematoda: bilaterally symmetrical, and vermiform. And body has more than 2 cell layers, tissues, and organs. And body cavity is a cytocell, body fluid under high pressure. Flatworms reproduce.
Okay, so flatworms have both male and female parts, reproductive system, which means they are hermaphroditic. And in sexual reproduction, 2 worms join in a pair. The male worm, I think we need to cut that out. Okay. Anyways.
Again?
No, because you can cut it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the worms deliver sperm to each other to fertilize the eggs, and which are laid in clusters. These leave like the feces, and the eggs cannot survive long if they aren't swallowed by another animal. Okay. So in free-living flatworms, they reproduce asexually.
How do roundworms reproduce?
Okay, roundworms reproduce sexually. The male is usually smaller than the female, and it has a bent tail, which is used to hold her in place during sexual reproduction. And they have a spicule, which means that it's like a small part of soft tissues. It's needle-like. And so when the female lays eggs, these eggs aren't fertilized yet, and they are usually born inside the host intestine. Okay, that's it.
Body systems of flatworms. Feeding.
Flatworms can be carnivorous by feeding on tiny aquatic animals, or can be scavengers by feeding on recently dead animals, and they have a digestive cavity and a single opening or mouth through which food and waste pass.
Respiration.
Flatworms have no gills, lungs, heart, blood vessels, or blood. They rely on diffusion to transport oxygen and nutrients to internal tissues and to remove carbon dioxide and other waste from their bodies. Some have flame cells. Flame cells are specialized cells that remove excess water from the body.
Circulation and excretion.
Flatworms have no gills, lungs, heart, blood vessels, or blood. They rely on diffusion to transport oxygen and nutrients and to remove carbon dioxide and other wastes from their bodies. And some of them have flame cells. Flame cells are specialized cells that remove excess water from the body. In free-living flatworms, a head endoses several ganglia that control the nervous system. Ganglions are not complex enough to be called a brain, though. Ganglia are groups of nerve cells. Ganglia is not complex enough to be called. Okay.
Movement.
Flatworms move in two ways. One, cilia help them glide through the water and over the bottom of the stream or pond. Or two, they have muscle cells that allow them to twist and turn so they are able to react rapidly to their environment.
Life systems of roundworms. Movement. Feeding.
Okay, go.
I can just cut that off, right?
Yes.
Many free-living roundworms are predators that use grasping mouthparts and spines to catch and eat other small animals. Some soil-dwelling and aquatic forms eat algae, fungi, or pieces of decaying organic matter. Others digest bacteria and fungi that break down dead animals and plants.
Response.
Roundworms have a simple nervous system and consist of several ganglia and several nerves that start at the ganglia and run through the body.
Movement.
Roundworms have muscles that extend the length of their bodies. These muscles and pseudosolum function as a hydrostatic skeleton. These muscles contract for movement. Roundworms. Roundworms have a digestive tract with two openings. Any material in the food that cannot be digested leaves through the anus. The anus is the posterior opening of the digestive tract. Roundworms are unsegmented worms that have pseudocolons and digestive systems with two openings, a mouth and an anus.
Harmful effects of flatworms.
Will you stop doing that? Okay. Parasitic flatworms can infect the blood or internal organs of a host, like tapeworms, and their eggs can clog blood vessels that causes swelling and tissue decay. Okay.
Harmful effects of roundworms.
Okay. Filarial worms are thread-like worms that live in blood vessels and lymph vessels of birds, mammals, and humans. They block the passage of fluid through the veins, and it causes elephantitis. Okay. Some worms cause malnutrition by absorbing digested food in the host's small intestines, and yeah.
Benefits.
Okay. This is used to control invasive snails, which means that snails that don't belong in a place, that are foreign. And okay. It is used to study the evolution of bivalves and the evolution of a through gut, difference between a mouth and an anus.
Positive. Benefits. Benefits.
Okay. Free-living roundworms' DNA was the first of any multicellular that is sequenced completely. Research on this will lead researchers to a better understanding of how eukaryotes became multicellular, and how genes make multicellular organisms that are similar to yet different from one another. So a cool event of a roundworm is that supposedly female students in China start eating the eggs because they want to get like skinnier, and because the employment rate in China is like only 22%. So yeah, okay. Then the cool current event of flatworms is that if you cut a flatworm in half, each half will regenerate the corresponding lost part. Yeah, so it kind of looks like this. So if you cut one in half, each half will grow to a new organism, just like the flatworm's asexual reproduction.